Hello and welcome to the Virtual Cafe. My name is Segilola Salami. What can I get you today?
Hi, my name is Evan Pickering. I'm the author of a best-selling post-apocalyptic novel, Hood, a post-apocalyptic story of a Robin Hood adaptation. It's the book one of the American Rebirth series. It's been out for about 5 months, and it's had some pretty incredible reception. It's been a bestseller pretty quickly, and I would love a chai tea and a slice of banana bread.
Nice, nice. What is it about chai tea? It seems like every time I have someone come on the show, at least twice a month, someone wants chai tea. Well, I've never had chai tea. What is it about chai tea? What am I missing?
I think honestly, I mean, I could be wrong about this, but I think for the people who don't drink a lot of tea or coffee or anything, it's kind of just delicious. Like it's not, it's almost just like a sweet, nice drink. It's funny actually. My friend told me that chai just means tea in whatever language that is, and so it's kind of a funny like we're just saying tea. It's kind of hilarious,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I like it. It's kind of nice, and I don't really drink coffee or lots of different kinds of those like fancy Starbucks drinks. So for me, it's easy.
Interesting. So what does it taste like?
Um, I guess it's kind of like cinnamony, maybe. I'm I'm trying to think of a good description. Maybe a little bit like vanilla-ish. I don't know. It's like it's very just a. It's kind of a very like easy drink to drink.
Hmm.
I mean,
Because I know that, you're definitely not the first person, and I doubt you're the second person to come on the show to say they want chai tea. I have to go and investigate now, because it's like, when so many people are asking for something, you'd be like, what am I missing here? Hmm.
yeah, hey,
Okay.
it's delicious. I mean, I recommend it. It's something I drink a lot. That or like chamomile or something. But like I said, I kind of like the delicious, easy to drink teas. So that's me.
Okay, I will have to go and investigate now. And I'm feeling quite privileged. You say your book's been out for 5 months and
Mm.
you're a bestseller.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's kind of surreal for me, so it's interesting.
Whoa. Okay, I've got a bestseller in my cap. I'm gonna have to give myself a pat on the back now. I'm feeling quite superstar.
Sweet.
Okay, right. So we'll send the little human. She's been really good today because we're having a heat wave in London. Okay, so
All
she's
right.
she's 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 been really good. Been here in the thing. I'm gonna hope that while she's watching, her nursery rhyme, she's gonna get on and get your chai tea ready. So hope you're not in a hurry.
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm here. I'm relaxing. I'm having a good time. I'm happy to do this
Perfect.
show.
Perfect, because we are having a heat wave in London, and it's not every time, It's like I think people don't understand when we talk about the sun all the time in London. It's just because we don't get it very often. It's like tends to be quite miserable compared to you guys, state-wise. And so when we do get the sun, it's like, yes, the sun is out. Okay, it just puts you in this extra happy mood, gets all the good hormones flowing.
Oh, I believe you. I mean, I understand that living in the British Isles, sometimes you're not always blessed with sunshine. But for me, it's even if it's just the sun's not out some days, I'll just wake up and I'll be like, man, I don't feel great. So I feel the same way. It's all about sunshine for me.
Yes, yes,
But
yes.
I must have been lucky because when I went to England, you know, 10 years ago, whenever that was, 11 years ago, it was the one day I was there. It was sun shining and beautiful. So
Oh wow. Well, the sun god must have liked you then.
yeah, no, seriously.
Yeah. Okay. Now, so I would like to understand. Okay, so when did you decide you wanted to be an author, or when did you decide you wanted to start writing?
Um, I don't know. I mean, it was kind of an interesting. I don't know how. I mean, when I originally started writing, it was actually I was 18 years old. I was in high school, and I was in a comp class, and my teacher, he kind of encouraged us to write some creative writing stuff, which was, mostly in my school they were trying to prep us for the SATs and all that stuff. But this teacher was pretty cool, and he was like, he gave us some like wild, kind of wacky prompts, um,
Mm,
and I had never ever even thought about creative writing before. I had,
yeah.
I'd spent a lot of time reading, but I really loved it. I thought it was like it just immediately took to me, and I've always been kind of someone who's just obsessed with stories and storytelling, and you know, it could be books and video games or movies or show. I don't know. I always loved all that, and it never occurred to me to just start writing them myself. And I remember the day I did it, and I was 18, and I loved it so much, and I just thought to myself, like, I could do this. I could do this forever.
Mm-mm.
And you know, from there, it was kind of just a hobby for a while. Um, and I wrote a lot of short stories. I wrote my first novel when I was 18, but obviously it's not published. It's kind of howling under the bed somewhere. Um,
Mm.
but I think I first realized it was a possibility. I entered the 76th annual Writer's Digest competition.
Mm.
It was a literary short story I wrote, and I entered it, and I got seventh out of like 8,000 people, and it was pretty amazing. It was really cool. I didn't know what to expect. It was the first time I'd ever entered any competition, and I was so excited. And I remember thinking like, I think I can do this. Like, I think I could be a writer. And from there, it took me a long time. You know, obviously, life keeps going and taking you places, but I got really serious about it around then, and then it wasn't until this year that I finally published my first book. You know, it took me 4 years to write Hood, and I guess it was. I just wanted to make sure it was something I was really proud of, and that I really, you know, thought I'd be really happy with getting out there. And you know, it took that long to do that, but I guess that was kind of the arc of my journey. It also helps a lot that my mother was an author. She's a published author as well.
Okay. Okay.
And so it was really cool. I got to go to a lot of conferences. Um, you know, I kind of just tag along with her and see what the whole environment was like, and talk to other authors. I talked to some pretty famous authors, and it was cool. I got to be a fly on the wall, watch how it went, watch the business side of it, and you know, it was interesting. I don't know how much it helped with the writing, but talking to some authors and getting their advice on what to do and what not to do, and how to like go about trying to be a novelist,
Mm.
certainly is stuff I won't forget, and I'm really appreciative to this day, because it's kind of an awesome experience to be able to see what the business is like, because you have a lot of preconceived notions of what the business is like before you do it. You know?
Hmm. Interesting, interesting. Okay, so now I would like, let's do a timeline, because I just find that at least if I have a timeline, it helps me to put things into context, right?
All
So
right.
now, okay, before we even go there, right? So what genre does your mom write in?
She writes romance. Not, I mean, she doesn't write all. It's not all like exact. I mean, she writes some historical romances, some kind of like hybrid stuff.
Okay.
You know, she's written some I think they're called cozy romances recently.
All right.
I don't totally know what that means, but she's written them. Her name is Kathleen Pickering. She wrote for, I mean, she wrote for a bunch of different people, but yeah, she wrote books like Father of Her Son, and she wrote Mythological Sam. I mean, she wrote a number of books, but you know, she's had quite the little career herself, and she's really enjoyed the writing community for a long time, and she's done very well. And it was cool to watch her go through that process, kind of learn about it, you know.
That's quite interesting, right? So when you went with her to conferences and things like that, what if you were going to pick three things that you got out of it, what would you say you got out of it? What was it that that either benefited you or influenced you, that sort of set you on the path you then later chose to becoming an author?
That's a great question. I'm gonna have to you're gonna have to give me a sec to think about that. I guess um, I think probably the three biggest things. One, like demystifying the process. You know, I learned a lot about like what it actually. I mean, it's funny because I didn't actually go conventional published. I did self published. So I think actually probably learning. I'll start with that. Learning about self publishing. I actually met in person JF Penn, Joanna Penn.
Okay.
She's a famous self published author. She published the Arcane series, and she has this whole online instructional self-publishing thing. And anyway, I met her in person at a conference, and I had never even considered self-publishing before I talked to her, and she kind of enlightened me into the world of self-publishing, and that's what catapulted me to publish Hood. So that was to self-publish Hood, and so that was probably the biggest thing. Second biggest thing was kind of just that, the people, the authors in the writing industry are just the kind of the kindest, humblest people you'll ever see, and that it's not as fancy or as convoluted as you think the process is, I guess, for the conventional publishing industry. Like they kind of like you go and you meet people, and it's like anything else in life. You talk to agents, talk to editors, talk to publishers, and if they like you, then they probably will ask you about your book, and if they do, then if the book's good, you got a shot. It's kind of like it's a people business, and that I learned a lot about. That it was very. It's hard to publish a novel if you're going conventional. It's hard to publish a novel just sending it out to the slop heap, to try to just put a manuscript in a manila envelope. And you really, if you want to have a shot, you got to go to places and meet people and just schmooze, just say like, hi, how's it going? That's honestly, again, it's funny because I didn't conventionally publish, mostly because I love self-publishing, but it's just funny, like that's really what it's about. You just getting yourself out there and networking with the actual publishers and agents and editors themselves. Like that's how you do it. That's the real way to get conventionally published if that's the avenue you want to go. So I think those are probably the things I learned.
Okay, but then for self-publishing though, I mean, you still need to network though, even if you don't, want to be traditionally published. I mean, there are still advantages of, networking.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, networking is everything in life and in whatever most industries that you're going to be working in, unless you're, I don't know, like a trucker. I'm sure even truckers have to network. But
yes.
I don't know. I think it's more necessary with conventional publishing because it's like you need to make those connections in order to even get the shot at publishing a novel. I think networking self-publishing is different because that's mostly just valuable for getting your book out there. Like you've already got it out there, and now it's about how do you spread it around? How do you find connections to people? Maybe you find someone who wants to read it, or find someone else in the genre who wants to help. Who wants to do some mutual marketing for each other, where you'll market their book and they'll market yours, and there's a plenty of useful things you can do in the self-publishing industry. You really got to reach out and connect. Like you said, you can't. It's hard to in this industry to publish in a vacuum. You can't just sit there and stare at your book on Amazon and think great things are going to happen. It's just that's not how it works. But yeah. I just think it's more of a necessary evil with conventional publishing because if you're a listener and you want to get your book in a publishing house, just sending them, not knowing anyone and sending them a manila envelope of manuscript is a really, really, really tough way to get your book out there.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay, so when you went to the conferences, right? Did you make? I know you're self-published, so we're not going to ask about the traditional published, but what sort of connections did you make? Because all of this is going to come back into when we're going through your timeline, but, so what sort of connections did you make that you found useful later on when you then became published?
I think, meeting other authors is, one, it's probably the most relaxing of the interactions you're going to have when you're trying to get a book published, because they got nothing, that's just social, you're just getting to know them and you're finding out and you can ask them questions. One thing I've found, which is super cool, is that the industry is filled with so many people who are so supportive. Because I would meet some authors, some of them very famous, and you can say if you have the avenue to talk to them, if someone knows you and you say, hey, this, if you get introduced, you ask them questions, and everyone is pretty free with sharing their knowledge. It's not, despite the fact that it's a semi-competitive industry. It's not a zero-sum industry, but it is somewhat competitive. The people are still really open and free to share knowledge and talk about stuff. So I think that was one of the really cool things, is going and talking to just other authors and finding out what was your process, how did you become published, what did you do, I sometimes ask people what was the worst thing you ever wrote, something, just because you're kind of curious because it's kind of funny to hear them talk about it. You kind of realize like even the great writers write bad stuff sometimes, and it makes you feel less self-conscious because it's like, you know what, this isn't, not everyone, I mean, everyone doesn't just sit down and spin gold, you know, like you got to work hard, you got to you know, kind of grind it out sometimes. And I mean, other than that, useful things, useful, I would just talk to like it was actually pretty easy sometimes to talk to like editors for publishing houses, because even though potentially they could be touting your book and you could be in a working relationship with them, it was, you know, you can kind of talk to them socially and not make it about you or your book at first, and just be like, hey, how's it going? You know, like what publishing house do you represent? What are you guys doing lately? And I think working with editors, talking to editors and getting to know them is pretty useful, because they can actually get your book published if that's what you're looking to do. And it isn't so formal when you first meet them, depending on the situation. I mean, it depends on the situation. You might be meeting them in a bar after the conference. You might be meeting them in a ballroom talking about, you know, whatever artist is being celebrated. But you know, it's talking to editors is great. Agents is kind of similar. Like you can, even though that's agents different, because agents are almost always looking for a new writer, you know, so they're evaluating you like all the time, you know. But editors, it's more relaxed. Other authors is great. And I think that that's probably the best people to talk to. I mean, if you need an agent, you know, I go to Thriller Fest. Thriller Fest is one of my favorite conferences. That and Heather Graham's Writers for New Orleans conference. But going to Thriller Fest, it's in New York City, so it's not far from me. And you know, I just go in there and talk. They have whole events for people who, you know, for agents and for pitching your novel to agents and editors and stuff. So, you know, for conventional publish, that's pretty cool. You know, I love that conference. But there's definitely a lot of different kinds of people you can talk to. But I think just talking to other authors about their experiences and picking their brains, and then just talking to editors if you want to get in to any kind of publishing house, then that's probably the best people to talk to.
You see, you know, just listening to you now, I am not surprised that you're a bestseller.
Why do you say that?
No, because there's this saying that I'm not sure if it was my mom who told me, or I read it somewhere, or I heard it somewhere, but it's just something that stays in my head, right?
Okay.
And basically, failing to prepare means preparing to fail.
That is a very, very good saying. That's very true.
Because basically, all the stuff that you said is what, if a lot of people had done their homework before even clicking publish,
yeah,
maybe a lot of the struggles that they're having now, they might not go through it. Because they would have already networked, they would have already seen, they would have spoken to people who are already in the business. They're getting tips from the horse's mouth. You know, seriously, like, you know, like that was all that was just going through my head. Yeah. I'm not surprised that you're a bestseller, because absolutely every single thing, you've done your homework.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. A lot of times, just simple things like you said, getting from horse's mouth, like just talking to an author and seeing what, like I love to ask him, just like, you know, what was the hardest thing for you, or you know, what was their publishing experience like, because you can learn so much from the people who've done it before. And I swear, like, it takes away so much of the anxiety and the stress about because you really understand that they're regular, you know, they're just people who love to write too. They're just regular, you know, I mean, obviously they've developed an incredible skill set, and that does not come easily unless they're like just magically talented. You know, a few of them are just, it's easy, and you know, those people, you know, I shake my fist at them. But but yeah, you know, I think it's true. It's easy. You know, as writers, we all love, I mean, we don't always love the process of writing, but ultimately we love it because we get to sit down and create these worlds and do all this, and we get kind of wrapped up in that, and we think that that's all it is, but it's a lot of it, like you said, is, you know, you got to prepare, you got to learn this stuff, you got to do a lot of studying, and I love that. Like, I love learning more about the industry, learning more about the process, and studying like writing techniques or what makes other authors successful. To me, that's exciting, and I like the learning process in that. But yeah, you're right. You can't just, I mean, unless you're just crazy talented, you can't just like, you know, sit down, you know, pound out a book and then just like smash publish and think everything's gonna go great. Like,
but you know, the funny thing though is it doesn't even matter if you're the best writer. If nobody knows your book is there, nobody's gonna know it's great.
100%. I mean, that's 100% true.
You know, and it's basically when you've networked with people, spoken to people, sort of start creating your author platform, then even if it's only one person, let's say, you know, you met, say, two people at a conference, and then you write your book and then you say, oh, guess what, I just published my book, you know, check it out. Obviously they know you, so they're more inclined to want to, you know, actually check out your book, and then they write it and then think, oh my god, you're a fantastic writer. I tend to tell, you know, my followers, you know, my author friend, you know, who's there, and literally that's how it goes.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think you're spot on with that. And I've actually I dubbed my marketing basically just grassroots marketing, because I think that the best way to really go about this, and like you said, I mean, you need to, like, you can write a great book and no one will ever know about it. The key is really just kind of old fashioned, you know. It's like, I mean, it's old fashioned in a new fashioned way, because when you think about it, like, you're using technology, using social media to reach out to people and like talk to people, but ultimately it's like you're selling yourself, you know. It's like you got to get to know people, you got to like branch out there and just talk to people. And like, you know, if you come up to someone and the first thing you do is like throwing your book in their face, they're probably not going to want to, you know, be your champion, you know what I mean? Like,
you know what, it's like you're in my mind. Because I wrote a post, what was it? When was it? And basically, I sort of used an analogy, right? And I said, right, imagine, let's say, for instance, you know, we met at a conference somewhere, and then you know, it was, let's say it's my daughter's second birthday, and then I say to you, oh, right, you know, Evan, you know, my daughter's turning 2, you want to come over? And then when you come over, you then have two choices. One, you either take out your book and start talking about it, and, you know, without even saying hello to anyone, you know, just start talking, hey, here's my book, it's a bestseller, rah, 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 rah. Or two, do you socialize and, you know, sort of make conversation and make baby noises and, you know, try, you know, to play with all the other children. And then when the parents ask, oh, so what do you do? Then you talk about your book.
Exactly. That, I mean, that's really the truth. And that's, you know, as writers, we get so excited to share our book and to, you know, I understand why that happens. You get excited. You really want to get it out there. You're so enthusiastic about I'm marketing. But it's like, that's not what it is. It's like you said, like, you know what, just go up to them and talk to them and just like say like, hey, what's up? How's it going? You know, like, you know, tell me about yourself. You know, I'm here to learn. I'm here to experience. I'm here to meet people, you know, and like you said, eventually time will come. People will probably ask you if they're having a conversation with you and they're having a good time and you just socializing. Eventually, they'll be like, "Tell me about what you do. You know, what do you write? What's your book like?" And then it's like, it's relaxing too, because you don't feel like you're. I mean, I just get uncomfortable. Me, like if I go up to someone and I'm just like kind of shouting at them about my book, like I just get uncomfortable. I don't really like that. I feel, I don't know. I mean, no, don't get me wrong. I could talk about my book, but you know, it just doesn't. I don't know. I don't like making people uncomfortable like that, because I know if it happens to me, I'm just like, all right, dude, why do you think I care? You know?
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Everyone's done something, you know, and it's much more of a fun and easy experience just to like meet people and you know, kind of enjoy it from that perspective. And you know, some of the best marketing I did was just like, I mean, I did a lot of it online. I mean, obviously I met authors and met people in the industry, but in terms of my social media marketing, like I would just talk to people on Twitter or you know, forums or Facebook groups or Goodreads groups. And you know, I just talked to them, and then eventually they'd be like, "So, what's your book about?" You know, like, because it's more that way. It's like they're coming from a place of their interest, and you're not forcing them to be like, "Look at it, look at it." You know, it's like, you know, I just think it's a way better way to go about it. And once people are invested in you and your writing, like that's all the work. You know, then they'll give it a shot. I mean, maybe they might not like it, might not read it, and that's totally fine. You know, but like. You can lead a horse to water and you can't make him drink, you know?
Yes, of course. So basically what you're saying, right, that the ultimate key in publishing is not even about the quality of your book, it's about networking. Because even if your book is the bestest book ever, if you've not networked, if nobody knows you, if nobody knows about your book, It's literally something you've just written for the sake of it.
Yep. And you know, for some people, if that's what you want, that's cool. You know, write for your own experience. And I mean, I don't know any people who would say I don't want to be successful, but you know, but some people, you know, I got a friend of mine, and he's not published yet, but he's writing, and he's like, dude, I just really want to write this book because I love it, and like I don't really care what happens, I just want to write it and get it out there. And I'm like, cool, man. You know, like everyone's got their own experience and what you're looking for. But what you're saying is true. Like the networking is so valuable, and I tell you, I wish Amazon gave us analytics in terms of in terms of data of where sales came from, where a page click came from. To me, that would be just absolute gold. I mean, I get a little bit of it from my blog, so I can figure out like, okay, they clicked on my author page or whatever. But I wish I knew how much of it came from where, because at this point, I think a lot of my book sales kind of come from word of mouth and just people discovering it on Amazon or whatever. But like, I definitely, it's funny. I'm in grad school. In my past semester, at the tail end of the semester, I was really busy with finals and all that stuff, and I did basically zero marketing, and the sales of my books was slowly kind of tapering. I mean, it was still solid, but not as much as it was. And I was like, I kind of was like, wow, you know, this is like, you got to keep getting out there and talking to people. Like, this makes a difference. And it was funny. And the second I started having an online presence again and talking to people and doing stuff, all of a sudden, whoop, the sales of the book just went up again. You know, and obviously I'm in a lucky place. You know, the book is selling great, and you know, like I don't have to go crazy marketing for it to do well. I just got to put my face out there a little bit, you know. But the reality is there, like you said, like if you don't show people it's there, then they won't know about it. And like the great part is some of it works for itself. Once, if you write a great book and people are buying it and reading it, like they'll share it. You know, they'll tell people like, oh, I read this book and I loved it. You know, and so that's your work being done for you. But again, if you want to get it to new faces, you want to get it to people who don't know, you gotta get out there and talk to people. And like sometimes I'll just go on Twitter and look for people in the genre, or writers or readers or random people, and I'll just tweet at them. Like nothing about the book, doesn't even have to be about writing. I'll just tweet at them. Be like, hey, what's up? You know, or whatever joke they made, I'll just riff off it or something. You know, just because then maybe they'll look at my Twitter page and they'll say, oh, he's an author. You know, they see the banner, they see the thing. You know, it's just like literally just go out there and just socialize. You know, which is just kind of, I don't know. To me, that makes a difference. And again, you need to have a good book. You need to have a good cover. You need to have a good blurb, things like that. Like, that's all valuable. But, you know, from a marketing end, it's like sometimes the marketing doesn't even feel like marketing, you know?
Yes. Okay, now I think I sort of understand where you're coming from now, but I think you're in a very, I wouldn't say unique, but like there are two types of authors that I've come across, right?
Okay.
Authors who plan to become an author, who think I've got a book in me, and you know, like you said, it took you 4 years to write your book, or you know, some it takes them longer, some it takes them shorter, but they intentionally planned on becoming an author, right? And then there are those like me who didn't even plan to write a book. It just next thing I had a book in front of me. I'm like, and then when people ask me, so when did you know, how long? I'm like, you know what? I didn't really plan it. It's like I'm just one of those people where the idea just sort of takes into my head, or maybe I'm jotting things down because I remember stuff by writing. That's just my one. I write stuff. When I write stuff down, then I remember it. So I don't go through a long stage, you know, of planning. So I think there are sort of a smaller niche of authors who possibly like me, where we don't plan to write, and next thing we know, we've got a book in front of us. But then there are also those other ones who then do take a longer, you know, time to get there. And I think, you know, if we exclude those people who didn't plan to write and then just ended up with a book, for the other ones who plan, then they've got to now follow the steps that you've done, because it just makes sense. Because, you know, before you have a book in front of you, you know, you need to start building your platform. And I think, you know, just going from what you said, and, you know, that has really helped you. So, okay, now let's do timeline, right? You know, I was just So, right, so you did your first writing when you were 18.
Yep.
Then coming from a background of publishing, because your mom is also an author, you
Mm.
followed her to, conferences and networks and stuff like that, when you then had the opportunity to speak with other authors, editors, pick their brains, get to see, what, other
Yeah.
than your mom's experience, what other authors, what they felt about the whole process.
Uh,
Um, so, and then if I remember correctly, it then took you 4 years to then get this book, Hood,
yep.
completed.
Yep.
Okay, so I think I've not got baby brain anymore. I'm remembering stuff. Okay, cool. So
So
give me
it's
your timeline from then.
yeah. So it's basically been a span of I'm 29 now, so it's been a span of 11 years. Um,
Wow.
I wrote the first book. I started writing when I was 18. I wrote the first book while I was an undergrad. Um, that took me like 2 or 3 years. And then I just kind of wrote for fun and kind of idly as like, oh, this is cool. And I went to conferences. I always knew I thought I'd love to be a writer, but I was wrapped up in my other career, and I was just working at it as like a secondary. Like I knew it was a passion and secondarily, but I was just working at it. I was kind of honing my craft a little bit. I did a lot of writing a lot of short stories, and then as the years went by, I got more serious into it, and I was kind of so I would start writing a novel, but it wouldn't really stick. And then when I finally got the idea for Hood, I was like, I remember feeling extremely inspired and locked in. And yeah, it took me 4 years. I actually wrote the original copy in 3 years, and then I had a professional editor look at it, and I realized I needed to rewrite the entire book. And I cut 200 of the 280 pages that I'd written in 3 years, and then
Hmm.
and then rewrote the whole thing. Over the course of like 5 or 6 months, and then we continued to edit it for the next few months after that, and then yeah, and so then I published it, and 5 months, and obviously 5 months later we're here. But yeah, I did a lot of in terms of having a presence. Like I had for about a year and a half, or maybe 2 years before I published my book.
Hmm.
I started a blog on post-apoc writing, and um,
Hmm.
I just write about whatever I thought about. It could be about my life, or it could be about writing, or just thoughts and feelings and all that kind of shenanigans. And and then I kind of would just talk to people. Obviously when I would go to conferences, I'd talk about like I'm a prospective novelist. I'm almost, I'm coming out with this book. But yeah, then I just go on social media and kind of talk about it and all that stuff. And and when it finally came out, I just kind of used the platforms I had and started just talking to people. And I would do the kind of blanket marketing a little bit, where I'd just like make a post with a few hashtags in it and whatever I thought was appropriate, and a link to the book or whatever. But mostly, you know, that's kind of like the shotgun marketing, where you're just letting it go out there and see who grabs it. But
Hmm. Hmm.
the most effective then of what I do from the having push publish,
Hmm.
tongue twister. The most effective stuff I did post publishing was just kind of like talking to people and going to forums and going to Goodreads and going on Twitter and just like reaching out to people who like that genre and just just talk to them. So I mean, that's kind of a sloppy timeline, but that's the best I can do. I'm not I I didn't even think about something like my own timeline. It's kind of funny to look back in it now.
Hmm, interesting. So, okay, so basically, right, so anyone who's stopping by the virtual cafe, the main thing is, and I think it's something that's a recurring theme, is that you need to work on your platform. You need to network. So even if you're thinking of writing a book, even before you started writing your book, you need to start building your network. You need to start letting people know about you.
Yep, exactly. The more visible you are before you hit publish, the better off you're going to do. Even if you have friends and family and or acquaintances of people you only somewhat know. I mean, I was pretty lucky. But after I published, you know, I talked to I became good friends with a few people through the internet, and I had people just advertising my book for me. Like, and I know that sounds formal, but like people really liked it and they liked me, and they would just, I mean, I'd wake up in the morning and they would have posted about my book. Um, just because I don't know, like I didn't ask them to, they didn't, but they just like you know, they liked the book and they liked me and they were just helping me out, you know. And when you let people, you know, when people just do it out of wanting to help you just because, you know, you're just presenting your genuine self to them. I mean, that's like
Yes.
invaluable. I remember looking at people, um, putting up posts about my book, recommending it or whatever, and I would just stare at it. I was like, that is absolutely like a gold mine. Like that's invaluable. Like they're doing me such an incredible favor by doing that, you know. And you know, but that's part of it. That's part of just having a presence, like you said.
Yes.
And you know, I'm grateful. I'm just grateful that so many people were so nice,
Yeah.
were so supportive of my writing and you know, what I was trying to do. And so, I mean, really, I got like it's there's a lot of people. You know, this success is hard work, and it's not only one person. You know, it's a lot of people helping out. So
Yes. You see, now before speaking with you, I had this notion that you were, you know, because they use this term quite frequently, overnight bestseller, right?
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
you're not an overnight bestseller. This is 11 years down the road.
Yeah, what's the saying? You become you become an overnight success after 5 years of hard work. You know, which is kind of funny. It's like people want to say it's overnight success, and like you said that there's that term, but the reality is like most people in most cases and most industries, overnight successes are actually people who like did the hard work for, you know, years or however long, whatever, you know. Or I mean, it's not, you know, you got to put the effort in. You got to learn. You got to really study. You know,
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time studying my craft. Like, you know, on the technical aspect of the writing. Like I said, I got a professional editor, and I studied.
Yes.
She helped me a lot. She was incredible, and you know, she told me she's like, listen, you know, like your book's good, but it's really lacking these. You know, like it needs work. It's lacking these elements. Like, go study this book. Go. Literally, I read the entire book on writing cover to cover, you know, because she told me to, and I learned so much from it. And you know, like, and then like you said, you know, and then there's the people side, there's the networking side, the publishing. I mean um, you know, the self-publishing aspect of getting your book out there.
Yeah.
And so like you said, overnight successes generally don't exist. They're people who did the hard work. It's just they didn't really know they were doing that. You know, they didn't know what they were
Yes.
doing was going to translate into success yet. They just were doing it, you know?
Yes. So basically, things that I'm taking out of this now, you know, things, you know, topics that I've already talked about, you know, in other episodes. So what you did was you networked, because that was quite, you know, important of networking.
Yep.
You blogged, because that was also quite important. You had a street team. So all the people who liked your book, you know, who you had met and then they were, you know, posting for you, they did that. Those were your street team. Those were your brand representatives. Those were your advocates. Because, you know, when you're utilizing their platforms, they're really helping you reach people that you might not necessarily have reached.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, networking, blogging, street team, using professional services and making sure your book is the best that it possibly could be. Because, you know, by the time you're networking and blogging and having your street team, if your book was not the best that it possibly could have been, those three things would not have worked.
100%. And I would probably take a second here and say to every writer, you know, we work so hard, and it's such an incredible journey, and so much effort and love and energy and passion gets poured into a book. And then like when the day comes when someone tells you like, well, it's great, but you need to work, or like it needs to be fixed, you need this, like it's so hard to hear that day. I mean, I remember the day my editor told me I basically need to rewrite my novel after 3 years. I just stared at my ceiling like how am I going to do this? You know, like you just feel like no way. Like I just put, you know, I just did so much to make this book. But the reality is, like, if I could say anything to people who are, even if you've already published or prospective authors, whatever, it's like, get a good professional editor to help you learn. Because she literally catapulted my writing. Probably like I probably learned like 10 years of hard lessons in you know, like 3 months through working with her, because she was I mean, the stuff I learned was, I don't even know how I would have learned it if it wasn't for you know, having someone. And again, it's worth iterating that you need to get a good editor. You need someone who knows what they're talking about. Don't just get like, you know, Joe Blow and think they're going to teach you how to write. But like it's hard to take that extra step and rework what you've worked so hard on. But I distinctly remember when I was rewriting my book after having my editor tell me like it's not good enough, basically. I distinctly remember as I was rewriting it, thinking, "Wow, I can feel in writing it how much better this is. I can feel how much more engaging this is." And that was an exciting feeling for me. That made it made the writing process a lot easier because I could see the growth. I could see the benefit. And so like that would be in responding to the professional services thing. I would recommend everyone, no matter I don't care if you're the most talented writer out there or if you're a complete newbie. I guarantee you there is something massively important you can learn from a very good editor or a good editor. Because I don't know how to analyze my what you'd call like raw talent or skill at writing. Like it's just hard to know, but I do know how much getting professionals to help me I know it made a huge difference. Like I do not think I'd be having the success I have with the book if I hadn't rewritten it and gotten the advice and really just been told that I need to be better. That's a huge thing for me.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Wow. No, seriously, right? This is definitely just going to say there are no overnight successes. Because I'm just in awe. I'm like, wow. From when you first, did your first book or your first story, it's taken you 11 years.
11 years. Yeah.
And someone who doesn't know you, they would just think, oh wow, this author just went press published, and he's just become an overnight bestseller.
Yeah, I just rolled my face around on a keyboard and then hit publish. It's like that. It's true. You don't see. It's like an iceberg. You don't see anything below the surface. You're just like, oh, look at that, the published book. He's doing great. That must have been awesome. It's like, well, yeah, it is, but it was also, a long time coming. Even if it wasn't. And I think most people who write, they don't have the blessing to write full time. Like they have jobs. They have.
Yes.
Like you got kids, you got a million things to do. You got, life that just keeps you going. But, that was me too. I was lucky to have a pretty decent amount of free time outside my job, in terms of writing. But, but still, you got to sit down. You got to not sit in front of the TV. You got to sit in front of the computer and type and then figure out and then, study from study great authors. That's actually one thing I kept. I know this is going back to talking about what I learned from other authors when I go to conferences, but they all told me study the greats, like study the very good, whatever writer you envy or you like their style, read up about them, find out what they said about writing, find out what they said about the process, just read their books and take it all in. It's like, because ultimately like our writing style is still just like we're taking pieces of different writers, we're taking pieces of different styles and different genres even, and it's like learning from the people who've come before you is just so invaluable. Like there's just you can't put a price
on it. Interesting. Wow. Thank you so much. So now the last thing I'm just going to ask you though is, I know you're based in America, so possibly some of it might not be relevant for people outside of the States. So I know you did your Twitter one where I'm not going to call you a stalker, but you were like...
That is a very apt way of putting it. I did plenty of lurking around people's pages and being like, oh, what is this person about? Social media stalker /
so we're gonna exclude that one for instance.
Hey, I don't care. That's fine.
Don't worry. I've got Hootsuite, right? And I've got specific keywords, and so I just go there and I study people and I see when people recommend a children's book for me, right? And then hello, can I recommend this book for you? And so don't worry, I'm in that club as well, but we're not going to advertise that. We don't want people seeing this crazy people stalking people. But what other networking, connecting with people? What are the processes that you use other than social media?
Oh man, that's a good question. What did I use other than social media? I think this might sound kind of like cheesy, but I think some of the best things is just reaching out to people you know
Yeah.
who are willing to support you from like a word of mouth, like
Yes.
boots on the ground basis. And like, I mean, maybe it's other professionals you've met, maybe it's
Yeah.
friends or family or something, but really like, again, and you got to get the right people because some people just like don't have the time or aren't going to do anything,
Yes.
like the people who really support you, like, maybe give them your, like, I have a bunch of business cards with like one side of the business card is the cover of my novel and
Yeah.
the other side is, like my information,
Yeah.
and just like give them a pile of your cards and just be like, and just say like, hey, listen, if you're out there and you meeting someone and they, like people start talking about writing, you're not asking them to go out there and just like throw business cards at people, but just say like, hey, if topic of writing or something or books comes up, like, you know, maybe, recommend, tell them about me, tell them about my book, and give them my card or something. Again, like a grassroots perspective of getting people.
Yeah. So basically, offline marketing.
Yeah, offline marketing is a great way to say it. Because I mean, again, I'm a huge nerd. I spend a lot of time on the internet, and I do a lot of social media. Like that's a lot of what I do. But I think I know, like I knew people I know and love would come to me and say like, yeah, I met someone today and they were talking and I told them about your book, and I was like, and they were like that, and they told me that it sounded really cool, and Lord knows if that always converts. They might go home and forget about it. But maybe some people are like, cool, like that sounded interesting, and they'll look at it, or
Yeah.
So yeah, even if it's like old, like I mean, I reached out to like old high school friends and to, just people I knew. I don't know how to explain it, but like,
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely makes sense what you're saying. I mean, something else that I've taken away is the thing about having business cards, right? Because when was it? It was on Saturday, just gone. There was a festival, that's not too far away from me, and then I was doing the book reading, and so there was a photograph of it because my phone, is dodgy and it's gone bad, so I asked the on-site photographer to take pictures of my reading. And then she then had another friend who was doing another event, and she was like, "Oh, you know what? My friend would love to have a chat with you. She's going to be, here later on. She's organizing an event that I think you would be, perfect to be part of." Anyway, so fast forward after my reading, and then I catch up with her and her friend, and I'm like, going, "Oh yes, did you have a card?"
Yeah.
And I didn't have one. I never thought, an author should have a business card.
Yeah, it's funny, but it's true. You don't realize how useful it is to be able to just you pull one out of your pocket or your wallet or whatever, or your purse or whatever, and you just like, oh, here you go, here it is. And they'll just, it's something they can just like, throw in their pocket and they'll find it later and be like, oh yeah, it literally will be a reminder for them. They will, they will have it on, like if they keep it on them, if they don't throw it in the garbage, like they'll find it later and go, oh yeah, I remember that. Like it's pretty invaluable as a tool. And I mean, I'm like you. For a long time, I didn't have business cards, and like other people, authors or people I talk to, be like, you have to do this, and you just go on Vistaprint and you or whatever, you go to Staples or whatever, wherever you want to get them, and you just like, you whip one up real quick. It doesn't have to be super fancy. You got to have your info on it, and and you just like, if you just hand it to them like that, right there is so valuable because they will probably remember if they keep the card. So that's another thing, and I'm staring at a pile of my cards right now, right over here.
So what details did you put there? Did you put your Facebook, Twitter, Goodreads? What contact details did you put?
I think the best thing to do is go super, super simple. Whatever the largest platform is that you want to be reached at. So for me, I got one side of the card is literally just the cover of my book, and it says Amazon bestseller.
Yeah.
And then the other side is the title of my book, and then my name, and then I have two things. It's my email, and then my evanpickeringauthor.com, which is my blog / author website. And so that way, you know, you don't want to bombard them with information. Now they have your email, so they have a place to reach you, and then you can, once you connect, they can figure out if you want to talk on the phone or whatever. You can figure it out from there.
Yeah.
And then two, they can go to your website and just check you out there and get more information there. And so, and when you look at it, it's not all cluttered. I like it. It looks really clean. And I think it, you know, it's easier on the eyes like that. Because actually the first business card I made, it was just like, it literally, it might've been my life story. Like I had everything on it. And I looked at it, I was like, this is not something people want to look at, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, I cleaned it up and I made it much simpler. And I think that, you know, basically, and also like you don't want to give away too much information that someone might like, you know, or something, you know, it's like, but yeah, I think keeping it really clean, real simple is probably the best way to go.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, that sounds like a perfect plan. I think it's something I'm going to have to look forward and take seriously now, because I've got a few more book reading events coming up, and it just makes sense that I have business cards to give away.
Yeah. It's, you know, it's funny to me. I always had this experience, and I think other people do too, unless they're totally professionals in the industry.
Yeah.
That when you're talking to someone and they just whip out a business card to hand to you, my reaction would always be, wow, they know what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, they're not messing around. They're not just here. You know, there's something official and very validating about it, you know, to have it like from the perspective of the other person. If you hand the business card, you know that they're serious. You know that they're like putting the effort in, and that this is something, you know, that they're not just like walking around talking about it. They're also like backing it up with the effort and the time and the energy and preparing, you know, and like the people, they just seem more prepared. You know, people seem more prepared when they hand you a business card, and you're like, oh yeah, you know, like when I was younger and would go to conferences, and people would ask me about my again, this was before I was published. They would ask me about my information, and I'm like, you know, like, you know, like, let me write it down. It's like, it just, you seem like you're just kind of like rolling around. I mean, and that's what I was at the time. I was just someone picking people's brains. I was just learning. So it wasn't as important back then. But now it's like, I wouldn't want to go and not have a card. Because, you know, like when I would go to, it's funny, you go to conferences and you come back with a stack of business cards if you're doing it right, you know?
Yeah.
And I would, sure enough, I would go through them. Like when I would come back from conference, I'd be like, oh, I remember this person. We talked about this. I remember this person. And it was like, you know, from the other perspective, like they maintained their connection to me by giving me this card. And that, you know, and that you want to do that. Like if you're person-to-person marketing, like you want to do that. You want to have something they can keep in their hands and remember you and remember your book. And that's like, business cards are super valuable for that.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Evan, for taking the time to come. I think, you know, I've learned, I mean, I can't speak for the listeners, but I think I have learned, you know, it's like you just made me feel good about myself right now. Okay. It's like, you know, there's no overnight bestsellers. You know, I just thought, you know, there was something about your name or the title of your book that you just put it there. And Amazon just thought, you know what? He's got green eyes. We're just going to make him a bestseller. And, you know, seriously, because people then start getting complex and then they can say, what is it about this author that made him a bestseller and someone else who's done exactly the same thing that he's done is struggling? Whereas, you know, you just basically opened the chicken's bum and said, well, actually, there is so much more to it.
Well, thank you, Segilola. I'm it's a great compliment and I really appreciate it. But it's true, you know, it's easy to look at something and be like, man, I mean, I was guilty of it the other day. There was a new writer in my genre that popped up and his rankings went really high, really fast. And he was like, you know, I mean, I won't call him a competitor, but you know, he was up there with me. And I was like, man, how did he do this? And I thought about, I just thought about myself. I was like, how did I do this? I just worked my tail off.
Yeah.
You know, worked my tail off on the book and the marketing, and I'm sure he did the same. And it's like, it's true. You know, it's easy to get, you know, be green with envy or whatever. I mean, I do it too. I look at the people who slam up against the #1 ranking, and I'm like, man, how did they do it? Like you're always,
Yeah.
no matter who you are, where you are, you're always looking up. That's kind of just the way it is.
Yeah.
And it's easy to look at them and be like, man, how'd they do that? And you just got to remember, like, work harder, be smarter and study. And that's, it's not overnight success. It's people listening should feel good, because what they can take away from this and from me is like, you can do it too. Is that like, it isn't the random gaze of fate, just kind of like,
Yeah.
falling on someone. Like, I mean, obviously there's ways in which I was lucky. I was lucky that I had a mother who introduced me to the writing.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's plenty of serendipity on my end for sure. I won't pretend like it was all, like nothing good happened to me. It definitely good things did happen, but the reality is, if the average author or prospective writer out there, like you can put the work in and do this yourself. Like this is I'm here to tell you, like, I'm just a regular dude. Like I didn't. Sometimes I look around, I'm like, how did this happen? Like, but the reality is, like, I put the work in and I did all this, and and that's and that everyone can do that. And it's a cool feeling. I think we're in an amazing time right now. The fact that we can be self-created as authors, that we can go out there and put the work in and put the time in and learn and study and publish. And like, it might be really hard to get your name out there and the book out there, but you can do it. Like, if this was 30 years ago, if some publisher decided they didn't like your book, all right, well, you're not a writer, like, or you're not an author, you're not published. Like we're in hands down the best time ever to be a writer, and we should take advantage of that.
Of course. Now, just to make some people, me inclusive, green with envy. The first week of publishing your book, how many sales did you get?
Oh, first week of publishing my book, how many sales did I get? Hold on, I gotta do the math. I'm looking at it. Let's see here. Probably, I'm gonna round about. I'd sold probably 55 or so books, 60 books, something like that.
Okay.
So it wasn't, it wasn't an astronomical amount of books, but it kind of climbed, but it wasn't an insane amount of books.
Okay, that's all right then. I don't feel too bad, because I had another author who was a bestseller, and he said within the first 3 weeks he sold 10,000, and I was like, oh my god, I'm dead. How am I going to achieve that? So I was there thinking you're going to say you sold like 50,000 copies in the first week.
No. That's crazy. That's quite a lot. It was a climb for me. Like it started and it just started going up, and it just kept going up, and that was my experience. There was no like rocket ship. I mean, that's pretty amazing. Whoever that is, that's awesome. Whatever they did, they must have done some cool stuff.
His was networking. So he had a coach. And so she put him through all the steps, that you've talked about to networking. And what he's done, he's built his platform and then had his network promote his book to their network, and their network promotes it. So basically, it was building his network and then going by, having his team and, using their platform to get his book to where it was. And so when his book, I think he put his book available on pre-order. So all the sales beforehand accumulated.
Yes.
And that was how he got to where he got. Okay, so for you.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
No, that's the magic of pre-ordering. I had no idea of that kind of thing when I started, but that's, if you want to do a boatload of marketing and have your book pre-ordered, you can get numbers like that where you launch and it's just, all of a sudden you're flying high. That stuff's pretty cool.
Yes. Okay. So when you as your book was climbing, okay, let me see, how am I going to ask this question? What was the highest number of downloads you had in, say, a week or in a day, for instance? Like, what was the max that everything else?
That's a great question. Probably, if I look here, in a week, it was probably like 1,000. I mean, Well, it wasn't, it wasn't like an insane amount, but if you combine book sales with Kindle Unlimited borrows, it was probably like, 1,000 something.
How many thousand?
No, it was just within the thousand. It was like 1,000, 500 something like that.
Okay. Well, that's quite good as well, though.
Oh yeah, it's great. But it wasn't, there was, I didn't know 10,000s in a day. I'm been kind of a slow and steady guy. I haven't been, I didn't have any huge rocket ship moments.
Yeah, maybe that guy was just a one-off. He gave me a complex, right? I must admit. I was thinking, what?
Yeah,
10,000 in 3 weeks.
I'll tell the listeners out there that kind of thing that's like a super rare. That's not don't. I mean, I did it. Like I said, I did the slow and steady way. My book just climbed and climbed, which was awesome. But I don't think a heck of a lot of people are getting thousands of books sold instantaneously. That's pretty unreal. That's definitely an outlier event.
Yeah. Okay. So just out of interest, now I find so when your bestseller was that overall in all of Kindle or was that in category?
In categories, in all of Kindle, I got to like top 400.
Okay.
In my categories, I got to top like 5 or top 10. So the categories were post-apoc and dystopian sci-fi, metaphysical visionary sci-fi. That was where I ended up at the top end, which was pretty awesome. It was cool.
Yeah, of course.
Like seeing my book above like Dune and some of the other, just incredible names in sci-fi was like unreal. Seeing higher than the Hunger Games, like that was like that kind of made me lose my mind a little bit. Stuff like that is surreal. I'm kind of maybe it's a little self-aggrandizing, but I take screenshots, and I was like,
yes,
I was like, let me look at this, so I could see it at the high rankings and stuff, and it was that kind of stuff was super exciting for me, and it's cool. I'll tell you this though, you can get kind of obsessed with. I'm sure any author will tell you, you can get obsessed with your rankings and being like, where am I? Mostly it's like, I'm blessed to have be doing as well as I am, and it's awesome. But I try not to sweat. I try to tell myself not to sweat any of it too much, and like work, right? Keep writing, and don't get distracted with the shiny numbers.
Yes. I don't even bother about it. For me, it's about how much money is going to enter into my bank account. I couldn't really care about the other. They're good, but I just think they're more of an ego boost. Because the last time I had a promotion, one of my author friends, she was like, "Oh my gosh, Segilola, did you know you're like top 5 in your category?" I was like, "Oh, was I?" She was like, "I'm sure you even got to top." And I was like, "Really? Did I?" It was a free promotion that I was doing.
Yeah.
It was good to get that, but it wasn't really related to turning into money immediately into my account. So I was like, I'm not really stressing myself.
Yeah. There's always there's always that feeling on free promotions where like you get so psyched to get that visibility, but you're like, all right, now just convert it to the paid store. It's like you're like, come on, it's but it's cool. It's cool getting. Honestly, even if you get to the top of a paid ranking, that's legit. That's not everyone can do that. So that if you get the top of a free ranking, that's awesome. That's a lot of visibility, and that's a lot of spreading the word about your book, and that's obviously invaluable too. So, but it's cool, but it's like you said, it's event. For many of us, it's about the bottom line. Seeing the money hit the bank account is kind of. For me, it was once I realized that I didn't need to do anything else. Like I was like, I don't need to work other jobs. Like I just write. That was like, that was kind of like a weird, surreal moment. You spend a few days where you're like, what am I doing? You're like, I gotta sit down and write. I gotta do this work. But it's a cool feeling. It's pretty cool to realize. But I'll tell you this, it changes it when all the pressure's on and you're like, you got to write. It's like, all right, now this is my focus is to write. You're like, all of a sudden you're like, wow, I gotta you know, it's a lot of pressure. You got to take it seriously, and I think you got to come up with a plan on how to, like, how many words you want to write a day, and how to go about being very sustainable with it, so you don't burn out or don't stress yourself out about it. You know.
Yeah. Oh wow, fantastic! And then one thing that I'm going to just say that the people listening they might take out of it, because for instance, I struggled with understanding the point of free deals.
Yeah.
Because I just thought, well, you're giving it, and then all these people, they're not probably not even going to read your book. They just take it, because I've seen comments by people who are like chronic giveaway participants, and they're always looking out for the next few things, and they say that they don't even read them, and so
Yeah.
some authors have sort of questions the benefit of doing that. But then I read this comment, I can't remember where I was when I read it, and I read a lot of things, and random pieces of information stick in my head. And so someone then said, when you're writing a book and you're giving it away for free, you should think of it as a free software provider, right?
Yeah.
90% of the people who take your free software will take it for free.
Yeah.
10% of them will go on to take, 10% of them will go on to upgrade.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of the whole perspective of the free is like, it's like your hook. You're, especially if you write a series. I mean, for series, free is, I mean, that's gold. I obviously have not yet published the second book of my series. That's a work in progress. But it's about conversion. Like you said, if you get X amount of people to get it for free, then you're hoping that to convert over to X amount buying it. And let's say you write a series and you give away the first book for free.
Yeah.
And then anyone who reads it, and let's say they read it and they love it and they want to read the second book. Okay, now the second book is, X dollars.
Yeah.
And then the third book is X dollars. Like you gave away one for free. That's kind of your free sample, so they can go and buy, the whole ham. And
Yeah.
And that's I think first book free and series conversions is super valuable. I'm interested, once I get multiple books in my series out, I might consider doing that. I'm going to play with it depending on how my numbers go, as long term pans out. Right now it's, I don't have any need to do that because I'm, selling a lot, but it's an invaluable tool. And like you said, using it to get visibility and get conversions into people buying it is like, that is a real thing. And it's something that writers and authors should take seriously.
Yeah. Okay, so last question just popped into my mind before I let you go.
Okay.
Other than your networking and other than your blogging and other than your stalking, social media, what other marketing techniques did you use?
Marketing techniques. I mean, I would say, I don't know if this goes into what you're talking about, but I'd say probably the way you're like, for example, from blurb writing. I think writing the blurb for your book, I think, is extremely valuable. I mean, I think people know this in some extent, but I mean, this goes into blurb writing and also goes into the way you advertise when you write about your book. I think it's really important to choose a voice. Like for me, I like to write in the same voice and style that my book is in. So that way, when people read anything from a marketing perspective about my book, whether it be the blurb or whatever, like they're kind of getting like a little peek into the way the book is, so like my book is very much, it's like a very serious topic, obviously, about the apocalypse, but it's also like, the characters are kind of laughing and trying to have a good time, trying to enjoy their lives, and like making jokes and making bad jokes, and so like when I go about my marketing, I try to go about it the same way, where I present kind of like myself, or almost a window into my characters of like how they would speak or how they would write, so I might combine something serious with something kind of silly or like kind of like, I think it's very valuable to write about your book from a marketing perspective.
Yeah.
Whether it be a blurb or any kind of posts you're putting out there, or go about it in the voice of your story. So that way people get like an insight into what you're about, how you write, I try to make a lot of my marketing very, very funny and kind of goofy, and sometimes like silly, sometimes serious, because that's how I write, and that's what I'm about. I love the pairing of drama and comedy. I try to keep it like almost uniform, like a theme, to the marketing. I don't know if that was the kind of thing you were looking for, but to me, that's kind of like one of the most important things that comes.
Did you take any Facebook ads, Twitter ads, Google ads, any of those things?
No, I did one paid Facebook ad, and I threw like a few bucks at it, and it didn't really work. And I understand the Facebook ads are super valuable. I did not use them. I tried it once, and I didn't really. Again, I was very much experimenting, and I had not yet learned the proper ways to do it. So I didn't do. The only paid ads I did the entire time, I did Robin Reed's a Book Barbarian deal, e-reader news today. I did a few, like on one of my Kindle Countdown deals. I did a few paid promos, but everything else I did was free. I didn't do very much paid advertising at all.
Okay.
Probably I'd say writing book reviewers. I think a lot of writers know about this, but like just finding people who review books in your genre and just writing to them and asking them to do a review is super duper valuable. And it takes some time because you got to write out the email, you got to put out all your information, and but that's super useful. I've pinned some reviews to my blog, on my blog and on my Twitter and stuff, and I think that was pretty great, having people review the book, because then they'll probably convert it onto an Amazon review, and also like anyone who goes to their page is going to find out about it. So that was probably the best thing. And again, it doesn't cost you anything other than a copy of your book, so that's pretty great.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Evan. It's been fantastic having you, and definitely made me feel good about my writing.
Awesome, that makes me happy. Yeah, thank you for having me. This has been awesome. I really enjoyed it.
Right. Okay. So just a quick one. If any of the listeners wanted to connect with you, how do they do that?
They can connect with me on Twitter. I'm at EvanTP87. They can connect with me on my blog and website, which is evanpickeringauthor.com. That's EANPICKERING author.com. And then I've got a Facebook author page too. I do believe it is Facebook / EP author.
EP author. Okay.
So yeah, I got a few social media platforms where people want to reach out to me. Obviously my book's on Goodreads. They can message me there. Basically those platforms are probably the best places to reach me.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for your time and for coming on. It's been quite enlightening having you on the show.
Thank you for having me. This has been pretty awesome. I've really enjoyed it.
Okay, well, I will catch up with you later. To everyone, thanks for stopping by the Virtual Cafe. Bye now.